Beneath the restless skin of the sea, far below the shimmer of the waves and the play of sunlight, there lies a kingdom of shadows. Here the world is older, not in years that can be measured, but in silence, in stillness, in the ancient rhythm of water that has never known light. It is said that time itself moves differently in the deep. The surface world rushes by in bright storms and passing seasons, but down here, the centuries drift like sediment. Life endures in shapes unchanged for ages, slow, patient, untouched by the chaos above. And within this dark cathedral of pressure and silence, a single creature glides through the endless night, the frilled shark. Her form, long and slender, ripples like a ribbon of smoke through the black water. Around her gills, 6 delicate frills unfold, each lined with lace-like edges that flutter with every movement. Her mouth, a crescent of ivory daggers, opens with the smooth inevitability of a tide, revealing row upon row of needle teeth. To see her, even in the dim light of a submersible camera, is to glimpse something that should not exist anymore. A whisper from the age of dinosaurs, still alive, still watching. She is not a monster, though once she might have been mistaken for one. She is not a remnant to pity, nor a ghost to fear. She is a survivor, an echo of evolution's earliest experiments, a being so perfect for her world that time itself has had no need to alter her. For over 80 million years, she has drifted through the abyss, unchanged while continents rose and fell, while species blossomed and vanished. In the stillness of her depth, she remembers the Cretaceous seas, the warm, shallow waters filled with ammonites and mosasaurs, with the first flowering plants above and thunder lizards on the shore. Now, as the world above hums with light and machinery, she remains where she has always been, in the dark, where the earth keeps its oldest secrets. A faint, rolling current swells, slow and resonant. When you close your eyes tonight, imagine that descent. The surface fades. The sunlight thins into ribbons of pale gold, then blue, then green, until even color itself dissolves. The sound of waves becomes a heartbeat. Pressure builds around you like an embrace, steady, ancient, patient. Down here, no storm can reach you. Down here, there is only the slow pulse of the earth, the gentle sway of unseen creatures, and the gliding figure of one who has never hurried through time. The frilled shark moves through the dark as if the centuries are her companions, each fin stroke an echo of ages past. She is not fast. She has no need to be. Her meals are few, perhaps a squid, drifting too near, a fish that lingers too long in her path. Her world rewards silence, not speed. To watch her is to watch patience made flesh. And patience, down here, is survival. Soft chime of bubbles rising, fading into stillness. The scientists who have glimpsed her call her Chlamydococcus anguineus, a name that sounds almost like a spell. Chlamydo, for the frilled cloak around her gills. Coccus, for her shark kin. Anguineus, for her serpent form. But long before the Latin and the lights, she was a myth, a story told by sailors and fishermen who saw her dead and drifting, mistaken for a sea serpent, her long body curling in the waves. They whispered that she came from the deep to warn of storms, that her appearance was a sign from the gods. In the dark ages of human knowing, when the ocean's floor was as mysterious as the stars, she was an omen of the deep. Now we know she is real, not myth, not monster, and yet, somehow, the mystery remains. There is something in her that defies time, a shape too old for the modern world, a reminder of the oceans that came before ours. When she swims, her movement is unlike other sharks. She does not thrash or dart. She undulates like an eel. Her long tail flicks with elegance, her body flowing as though the water itself carries her. Her frilled gills flutter, drawing in oxygen from the sparse, cold current. Her home lies between 500 and 1,500 meters below the surface, a region called the twilight zone. Here, sunlight never fully reaches. It is a realm of half-light and shadow, where life glows faintly in strange colors, blue, violet, sometimes green. Other creatures pass silently in this darkness, jellyfish pulsing like stars, squid shimmering like drifting ghosts, fish with lanterns for eyes. But none of them carry the same ancient weight as she does. She is the abyss's memory. Slow, resonant pause. Imagine her swimming through a trench that no human eye has ever seen. Around her, the rock walls rise like the ribs of a sleeping giant. Above her, the ocean stretches for miles. Below her, the pressure is so immense that even steel would bend like clay. Yet she moves easily, unbothered, her slow rhythm older than gravity's pull. When she gives birth, if she gives birth, it is to a few young, already formed, already small echoes of herself. They will never see sunlight. They will never know coral reefs or tropical shallows. They will live and die in the slow darkness, inheriting a world that has remained unchanged for millions of years. The frilled shark's lineage traces back beyond the age of mammals, beyond the extinction that wiped out the dinosaurs. She survived cataclysms, ice ages, and shifts of continents. Perhaps that is why she feels so still, because she has seen everything. In her eyes, small and unblinking, the ocean's eternity stares back. Faint heartbeat sound, slow and deep. Scientists believe she is one of the most primitive sharks alive today, her anatomy closer to ancient fossils than to her modern cousins. Her jaws hinge at the back of her skull, not below it. Her skeleton, more cartilage than bone, bends with serpent grace. Her teeth, three-pronged and delicate, are made not for tearing, but for holding. Once her prey is caught, escape is impossible. And yet, in the stillness of her hunting, there is no violence, only inevitability. Life in the deep does not waste energy. Every movement, every heartbeat, is deliberate. The frilled shark's world is not one of constant hunger, but of long waiting, weeks, even months between meals. Down here, survival is not a battle. It is a meditation. Gentle current sound fades in, slow pulse of sonar echo. If you listen closely, you might imagine you can hear it, the soft crackle of distant currents, the murmur of water against the ocean floor, the steady glide of an ancient creature through time itself. Each movement she makes stirs the silt of ages, dust from the bones of ammonites, whispers from the seabeds of forgotten epochs. In her silence, there is history. In her patience, there is wisdom. And in her presence, there is peace. So let us drift a little deeper, past the edges of fear and curiosity, into the calm that only the abyss can offer. For the ocean has always been a mirror, vast, unknowable, reflecting the parts of ourselves we cannot see. In its depths, our ancient memories sleep. The frilled shark, that quiet guardian of the deep, swims through those memories as though through a dream, unhurried, eternal, serene. And as you listen, as your breath slows and the world above fades away, you might find yourself moving with her, through water, through time, through stillness. The abyss awakens not with sound, but with silence. And in that silence, life endures. The ocean hum deepens once more, soft and distant, then fades slowly to quiet. Every story of the sea begins with a discovery. And sometimes, that discovery is not of something new, but of something that was never truly gone. For centuries, the frilled shark lived unseen, gliding through her endless twilight world, untouched by human eyes. The deep sea was her refuge, her kingdom of quiet. Yet, as humans began to look deeper, to dream beyond the sunlit waves, we began to catch fragments of her presence. Bones, bodies, glimpses through glass, and stories whispered in salt and fear. The first confirmed human encounter came not from myth, but from science. In the late 1800s, when the world's oceans were being charted by curious minds and restless ships, a German naturalist named Ludwig Doderlein was working in Japan. The age of discovery had turned its gaze beneath the waterline, and naturalists sought to catalog every creature that swam in the depths. Doderlein, quiet and patient, spent his years studying fish from the seas around Inoshima. One day, the fisherman brought him something strange. A long, slender form, almost serpentine, its gills arranged in delicate ruffles, its mouth lined with hundreds of tiny, needle-like teeth. It seemed too primitive, too ancient. At first, he thought it might be a mistake, perhaps a misformed eel or an unfamiliar species of shark. But as he examined it more closely, he realized he was holding something extraordinary. Its anatomy did not fit with any known shark of the modern world. It was as though a fossil had swum out of stone and into the net. He preserved his notes and specimens carefully, sending them home to Europe for further study. Yet, strangely, for decades, those notes lay forgotten. The world above was changing too quickly. Machines, wars, empires, while in the quiet drawers of museums, the frilled shark waited once more in silence. Soft pause, sound of distant currents, steady and deep. Then, in 1884, another naturalist, Samuel Garman, an American ichthyologist, examined a similar specimen and gave it the name Chlamydocelicus anguineus. Chlamydo for its frilled cloak of gills, celicus for its shark kin, anguineus for its serpentine grace. To Garman, this was not simply another deep-sea curiosity. It was a relic, a bridge between epochs. He wrote that the frilled shark seemed to stand near the ancient type of the first sharks known to science. And so it was that a living fossil was named. But the creature herself knew nothing of names. She swam as she always had, in the hush of the deep, untouched by classification. While human hands drew her shape in ink and labeled her in Latin, she continued her slow migration along the ocean floor, just as her ancestors had done long before the first human words were spoken. Soft ripple of water, bubbles rise, then fade. In time, fishermen began to bring up others, dead or dying, caught in nets that reached too deep. Their eyes were small, their skin pale from the crushing darkness. To the men who hauled them up, they looked like ghosts, strange serpents of the abyss. Some took them for sea dragons, others for signs of ill luck. In coastal Japan, tales began to circulate of creatures called Ryugu no Tsukai, the messengers from the dragon's palace. Though often confused with oarfish, some of these legends found their roots in the frilled shark, her long body curling through the black water, her mouth a pale crescent of teeth. The sea, in those days, was not just a place. It was a mystery. To the people who lived by its edge, every strange shape that surfaced carried meaning, a warning, a blessing, or an omen. And so, even as scientists studied her bones, the frilled shark remained part of two worlds, the world of science and the world of story. Soft ocean wind hums faintly, like distant song. In 2007, more than a century after Doderlein's discovery, the world was once again reminded of her existence. A fisherman off the coast of Japan found something struggling near the surface, something that should not have been there. The water was unusually warm that year, currents shifting in strange ways. And there, gasping in the daylight, was a frilled shark. The crew filmed her briefly, her long, eel-like body curling weakly through the water. Her gills fluttered like torn silk, her mouth opening and closing as though remembering the rhythm of the deep. Within hours, she died. The footage spread quickly. The world, now filled with cameras and screens, stared in awe. Here was a creature from prehistory, alive in the 21st century. Some called her the real-life sea monster. Others spoke of her with reverence, as though she were proof that time still holds its secrets. But even as people marveled, the truth was simple. She had been there all along. While satellites orbited above, while cities glowed and faded, while entire human histories unfolded, the frilled shark had continued her quiet existence far below, unbothered by all that we built. Soft hum, faint, rhythmic heartbeat beneath the sound. It is easy to forget that discovery does not always mean creation. Sometimes, it simply means noticing. The frilled shark did not appear when we found her. She had never left. It was we who finally learned how to look. And yet, the more we look, the more she reminds us of how little we truly see. Even now, few have observed her alive. Most of what we know comes from the stillness of her preserved form. The curve of her spine, the shape of her teeth, the frilled pattern of her gills. Her world, the world of the deep, remains largely unvisited, untouched. In an ocean that covers 70% of our planet, we have explored less than 5% in detail. There are mountains higher than Everest hidden beneath the waves, trenches deeper than the Himalayas are tall. And in those trenches, the frilled shark glides unseen. She has survived not by strength, but by obscurity, by dwelling in the places we cannot reach, in the silence where curiosity slows and mystery reigns. Perhaps that is why she feels eternal. Gentle swell, then fade to stillness. To think of her discovery is to think also of time itself, of how the ocean folds the centuries into itself, keeping them safe. Ludwig Doderlein could never have known that his quiet work in Japan would awaken such wonder more than 100 years later. The notes he wrote by lamplight, the sketches he drew by hand, these were not merely acts of science. They were acts of remembrance, tracing the shape of a survivor who carried the memory of the ancient seas. And perhaps, if we listen closely, we can hear what the ocean has been whispering all along, that not everything old is lost, and not everything forgotten is gone. The frilled shark's rediscovery was not a resurrection. It was a revelation, a moment when humanity's gaze met something that had always been watching back. In the still darkness beneath the waves, the abyss stirred, and for a moment we saw it breathe. Soft currents flow, gentle resonance of distant whale song. It is strange, isn't it, how discovery can make us feel both powerful and small. We like to believe that the world belongs to us, that our knowledge stretches from the mountaintops to the ocean floor. Yet each time we peer into the deep, we are humbled. We realize that there are creatures older than our civilizations, lives that stretch back through the unbroken chain of evolution, untouched by our progress. The frilled shark reminds us that discovery is not conquest. It is conversation. A whisper from the deep, saying, "I was here before you. I will be here after." She was found, yes, but only because she allowed herself to be seen, for just a moment, before vanishing once more into the dark. If you listen now, you can almost imagine her presence, still out there. Moving through the silent trenches, along the cold slopes of volcanic ridges, where the water is black and eternal. Her body bends like liquid shadow, her frilled gills flutter with each breath. She is not watching us. She has no need to. She is older than our questions. The abyss keeps its own secrets, and somewhere in that vast silence, the frilled shark glides on, unchanged, unseen, unbothered by discovery. For she was never lost. We were. Every creature tells a story through its body, a history written not in ink or words, but in flesh, bone, and motion. The frilled shark is no exception. Her anatomy is a map, each ridge and curve a memory of an older world. If one could trace her outline by touch, it would feel less like an animal and more like an idea sculpted by evolution's oldest hand. A form both simple and strange, a whisper of something that existed before the familiar shapes of modern life. Let us drift closer, gently now, as if through a dream, to understand the being who has carried her design across 80 million years. Her body is long, slender, eel-like, often stretching nearly 2 meters in length. But it is her gills that give her name and mystery. 6 pairs, fringed and folded like delicate lace, forming the elegant collar from which she draws her title, the frilled shark. Unlike her cousins who cut through the bright shallows with sleek, muscular forms, she glides like smoke through still water. Her body bends with the rhythm of an ancient tide, smooth, continuous, unhurried. Each motion seems to recall the sea's earliest pulse, the same that once rocked ammonites and ancient rays. Her skin is rough with dermal denticles, tiny tooth-like scales that shimmer faintly when light touches them. They are armor and memory both, each a relic of the primitive sharks that came before. But it is her mouth that draws the eye and holds it in wonder or unease. A crescent of pale jaws opens to reveal 300 trident-shaped teeth, arranged in neat, overlapping rows. Each tooth, slender and barbed, curves inward like the hooks of a net. Together, they form a perfect trap. Once prey enters, There is no escape. To the modern eye, her grin seems otherworldly, perhaps even menacing. Yet to the deep, it is simply elegant, a design so refined that it has needed no revision since the age of dinosaurs. When she opens her jaws, the motion is strange. Unlike most sharks, whose jaws swing forward from beneath the skull, hers hinge from far behind, giving her mouth a wide, gaping arc. It allows her to swallow prey whole: fish, squid, anything small enough to drift too near. But here, in the dark, hunting is not a chase. It is a patient art. The frilled shark waits. She may hover motionless for hours, her fins moving just enough to hold position. Her world is one of scarcity. Food is rare, and every calorie counts. When a squid or fish glides by, drawn by the faint glimmer of bioluminescence, she strikes in a sudden fluid snap, a serpent's lunge, faster than the eye can follow. And then, silence again. Her internal organs tell the same story of patience and endurance. Her liver, vast and oil-rich, keeps her buoyant without the need for constant swimming. She has no swim bladder, for such fragile structures would collapse under the weight of her world's immense pressure. Instead, she floats by balance, a delicate harmony of density and oil, perfectly tuned to the deep. Her heart beats slow. Her metabolism is quiet. Everything in her design speaks of energy saved, not spent. Here, survival belongs to the still. Her eyes are small, unblinking, reflective, calm. They are made for low light, sensing faint movements rather than detail. When a flash of motion crosses her path, she feels it as much as she sees it, the subtle vibration of water against her skin. Every part of her is tuned to the deep. She has ampullae of Lorenzini, the tiny, jelly-filled pores that allow sharks to detect the faint electrical fields of living prey. For her, they are not just tools, they are another way of seeing, a sixth sense that allows her to navigate the invisible. Imagine, if you can, what her world must look like through that perception. Not darkness, but a field of soft, glowing traces. The heartbeat of a fish, the trembling spark of a squid, the quiet hum of the ocean's living current. In such a world, sight is unnecessary. Feeling is everything. Even her fins speak the language of the ancient. Her dorsal fins are small, set far back along her body. Her pectoral fins, broad and rounded, move like wings in slow motion. And her caudal fin, her tail, bears an almost primitive shape. Not the sharp crescent of modern sharks, but an asymmetrical taper, more like the tails of her Paleozoic ancestors. This shape is not made for speed, but for grace. It allows her to move quietly through the dense water, undulating like a ribbon of smoke. When she moves, it is as though she is remembering the first rhythm of the sea. And in that rhythm, the past and present blur. She has survived by changing little. To us, that might seem strange. After all, life is supposed to evolve, to adapt, to improve. But in truth, evolution does not always favor the new. Sometimes, it preserves the perfect. The frilled shark's design has stood the test of 80 million years because it does exactly what it must. No more, no less. Her environment is constant, her needs simple. And so, while other creatures adapted and transformed, she endured by remaining. In her, we see not failure to evolve, but the mastery of stillness. Each frill, each tooth, each slow heartbeat tells the same story, a body in balance with the deep. To hold a frilled shark in your mind is to imagine an unbroken line through time. The first sharks appeared some 400 million years ago, before trees even shaded the land. They were the pioneers of vertebrate life in the sea, sleek, efficient, and fearsome. Over countless ages, they diversified: hammerheads, makos, great whites, carpet sharks, nurse sharks. Yet among them, the frilled shark remained close to the source, carrying the blueprint of the early sea hunters. Her skeleton still whispers the language of those ancient forms. Her simple jaws, her unsegmented fins, her primitive gill structure, all are echoes from the Earth's deep evolutionary memory. And yet, she is not a fossil. She is alive. moving, breathing, feeling the flow of the same ocean that once brushed against continents now long gone. She is the proof that evolution is not a ladder, but a circle, a dance of survival where even the oldest steps still have meaning. If you could see her glide past a camera's light, you might understand why so many who've glimpsed her fall silent. She is not beautiful in the way coral fish are, nor majestic like a whale. She is something deeper, a beauty beyond decoration, shaped by time itself. Her movement is the language of patience. Her stillness, the voice of the abyss. And when her mouth opens, when those 300 trident teeth gleam faintly in the light of a submersible, it is not menace that one feels, but awe, the quiet realization that something from the dawn of life is still among us. In her gaze lies no malice, only endurance. She has outlived empires, species, and ages. She has watched oceans cool and warm, mountains rise and sink. She has felt the slow breath of Earth itself. And through it all, her body, this perfect vessel of adaptation, has remained unchanged. Slow breath sound, like an underwater sigh. To study her anatomy is to look into a mirror of deep time. It is to see what the ocean remembers. The frilled gills, the trident teeth, the soft undulating motion, all of it whispers the same truth, that life does not always rush forward. Sometimes it lingers, content in the form that works, patient enough to outlast extinction itself. The frilled shark's anatomy is not primitive. It is eternal. And as we drift with her through this dark water, we begin to understand something profound, that survival is not always about change. Sometimes, it is about knowing when to be still. Close your eyes and imagine a world before cities, before roads, before human voices filled the air. A world ruled not by empires, but by oceans, vast, warm, and shimmering with life, stretching beyond the horizon and stretching through time itself. This is the world of the frilled shark's ancestors. A world that existed over 80 million years ago, in the late Cretaceous period, when the continents were slowly moving toward the shapes we know today. The oceans then were warm and shallow in many places, filled with sunlit reefs and drifting islands of coral. They were alive with creatures both familiar and alien, creatures whose descendants would survive, and some whose memory survives only in stone. Imagine the water alive with ammonites, their spiral shells glinting in filtered sunlight, drifting like underwater galaxies. Schools of fish move as one, shimmering flashes of silver against the pale blue of the seas. Above the water, the first flowering plants bloom along riverbanks, while towering dinosaurs roam the forests. But it is in the oceans that we find the ancestors of today's living fossils, creatures that have remained unchanged for tens of millions of years. Among them, the early relatives of the frilled shark glide silently through the deep. They are elongated, serpentine predators, moving with a quiet grace that belies their ancient lineage. They hunt patiently, using the same ambush strategies that their descendants use today. They are survivors by design, perfectly suited to their world. These seas were not gentle. Life there was a delicate balance of predator and prey, of light and shadow. Mosasaurs, massive marine reptiles, ruled some regions with powerful jaws and swift tails. Plesiosaurs with their long necks and curious eyes hunted fish and squid. Giant sea turtles drifted lazily, scraping algae from rocks, unaware of the hunters lurking in the shadows. And yet, amidst all this, the ancestors of the frilled shark moved quietly. They were neither the fastest nor the strongest, but they were patient. They thrived in niches others could not, venturing into cooler waters, avoiding competition, surviving by endurance. It is fascinating to think how different the world was, yet in some ways, so familiar. Many of the species in these ancient seas are gone now, vanished by extinction events that reshaped life on Earth. But the frilled shark's ancestors persisted. Why did they survive when so many others did not? Perhaps it was their simplicity. Perhaps it was their slow metabolism, their patience, their ability to thrive where others could not. Perhaps it was a secret whispered by the ocean itself. In a world that constantly changes, there is strength in constancy. The ocean floors were different too. Continental shelves spread wider, sea levels rose and fell with shifting climates, and underwater mountains and trenches began to form. The frilled shark's ancestors adapted to these changing landscapes, moving with the currents, exploring the abyssal plains, finding shelter in crevices and caves. It was a world of mystery and shadow, where light faded quickly and the deeper regions were dark and cold. Here, the ancestors of today's frilled shark honed the skills that would allow their species to endure to the present day. They learned patience, stealth, and the quiet art of survival in the deep. Even as giant predators roamed the upper waters, they moved in silence below, unseen and untroubled, guided by instinct and the flow of the water. It is easy to romanticize the past, to imagine that life was somehow simpler. But these oceans were not quiet. They were alive with motion and energy, with the constant interplay of hunter and hunted. Yet in the chaos, there were refuges. The twilight zones, deeper waters, shadowed trenches, places where the frilled shark's ancestors could thrive, untouched by the struggles above. Over millions of years, the seas changed. Continents collided, mountains rose, and climates shifted. The great mass extinction at the end of the Cretaceous reshaped the oceans, wiping out the mosasaurs, the ammonites, and many others. Yet the lineage of the frilled shark persisted, moving deeper into the shadows, away from the forces that reshaped life on the surface. It is a remarkable tale, a testament to the power of adaptation and patience. To survive over such immense spans of time, one does not need to be the strongest or the fastest. One needs only to be fit for the world one inhabits, quietly enduring while everything else changes. And so, when we see the frilled shark today, moving gracefully through the deep, we are looking at a living window into this ancient world. In her eyes, in the curve of her body, in the rhythm of her movement, there is a memory of warm Cretaceous seas, of drifting ammonites, of a world both alien and familiar. She is more than a shark. She is a storyteller, carrying the secrets of the oceans across millions of years. And as we listen to the quiet of the deep, we can almost hear those stories, whispers of survival, patience, and the eternal rhythm of life beneath the waves. The oceans have always been a place of mystery and wonder. From the surface to the deepest trenches, from the dawn of the dinosaurs to the present day, life has endured in forms both fragile and resilient. The frilled shark reminds us that some stories are too long for human comprehension, stories that stretch across millions of years, told in the silent, patient language of the sea. And as we drift further into this ancient world, imagining the currents and the shadows, the creatures and the hunters, we come to understand a profound truth. The ocean is not merely water and waves. It is memory. It is time. It is life, enduring in its quiet, patient ways. The frilled shark swims on, a living echo of this prehistoric ocean, reminding us that even in darkness, life persists. Even in silence, history speaks. And even in the abyss, there is beauty beyond imagining. In the vast theater of time, evolution does not rush. It whispers. Slowly, softly, it shapes life in ways often imperceptible, measured not in days or years, but in millennia, in epochs that stretch beyond imagination. The frilled shark is a master of that whisper, a creature unchanged, yet perfectly adapted, carrying in her body the secrets of 80 million years. She is a reminder that evolution does not always roar with innovation. Sometimes it moves in quiet, patient persistence. To understand this, we must look back to a time before mammals had claimed the land, before humans even existed. The oceans of the late Cretaceous were crowded with life, yet fragile. Predators and prey danced in delicate balance, each adaptation a response to the pressures of survival. Some lineages raced ahead, evolving fins, teeth, and strategies suited to shallow, sunlit waters. Others, like the ancestors of the frilled shark, found refuge in the shadows. Here, in the cold, dark waters of the deep, there was no need for speed, no need for flashy displays. There was only the slow, quiet art of endurance. The frilled shark's evolutionary path diverged from other modern sharks around 80 to 90 million years ago. While other sharks refined their forms for agility, for hunting in light-filled seas, she preserved a shape that had already proven effective. Her elongated body, frilled gills, and unique jaw structure had persisted for millions of years because they worked, because they allowed her ancestors to survive the ever-changing oceans. Her body is a living fossil, but it is also a masterpiece of precision. Every curve, every fin, every tooth tells the story of survival. She does not evolve for novelty. She evolves for endurance. And in that, she has succeeded beyond measure. Consider her teeth, three-pronged, needle-like, arranged in overlapping rows. They are not flashy or massive, yet they capture prey with unerring efficiency. Over millions of years, this design has required no alteration. It is perfect for ambushing squid and small fish in the shadowed depths. Her gills, frilled like delicate lace, are equally enduring. They draw oxygen from cold, sparse water with quiet grace, allowing her to glide through the abyss without haste or strain. Her liver, vast and oil-rich, maintains buoyancy. Her fins undulate with slow elegance. Every detail has been refined by the slow whisper of evolution to endure. This patience is not weakness. It is power measured in time. While other species have raced to dominate the oceans, only a few have learned to endure when the tides of history turned violent. Mass extinctions have come and gone. Meteors, ice ages, warming seas, shifting continents. Most species have vanished, leaving only fossilized traces behind. Yet the frilled shark's ancestors survived. They moved into deeper waters, away from predators and competitors, into realms humans seldom explore. They waited, and they endured. To humans, this may seem like stagnation, but in truth, it is a quiet kind of genius. Evolution favors the survivors, not the fast, the flashy, or the strong. The frilled shark is proof of this. She is not a relic because she failed to evolve. She is a relic because she succeeded in the slowest, most patient way possible. Her slow evolution has created more than survival. It has created stability, a living bridge connecting modern oceans to prehistoric seas. When she glides past a submersible, she carries the memory of ancient waters in her form. The curve of her spine, the placement of her fins, the gentle undulation of her body. She is not only a survivor, she is a storyteller, transmitting the language of deep time in every movement. It is tempting to measure evolution as a ladder, where progress is always forward, toward something bigger or better. But the story of the frilled shark reminds us that it is not a ladder. Evolution is a river, flowing, bending, sometimes still, sometimes rushing, yet always moving life forward, in the forms that can endure. When we peer into her world, we see echoes of creatures that lived alongside dinosaurs, alongside ammonites and giant marine reptiles. Her form is unchanged, yet it is not frozen. It continues to function, continues to thrive. And in that quiet persistence, she offers a lesson. Survival is not about rapid change. Survival is about harmony with your world, about finding the rhythm that allows life to endure. Her long gestation period, thought to last up to 3.5 years, is part of this story. Few offspring, carefully nurtured, fully formed at birth, ready to navigate the abyss immediately. Each generation moves slowly through time, carefully preserving the lineage, conserving energy, and maintaining the delicate balance of life in the deep. The frilled shark reminds us that time is not always measured in decades or centuries. In the deep, time stretches like the water itself, slow, patient, eternal. Her body, her gills, her teeth, her motion, all are whispers of a past so distant that it feels almost eternal. Yet she is here, alive, moving, breathing, enduring. Even as human knowledge advances, even as technology probes the deepest trenches, the frilled shark remains a reminder that evolution's true power is subtle, quiet, unhurried. She is not flashy. She is not dramatic. She does not chase fame or prey recklessly. She whispers through time, teaching patience and endurance with every stroke of her fins. So let us follow her a little longer, drifting silently in the shadowed water. Let us watch her glide with perfect grace, a creature whose form has been perfected not by speed or force, but by survival itself. In her, we see the essence of the deep ocean story, a world where life moves at its own pace, where endurance is beauty, and where the past is never truly gone. She is evolution's quiet triumph. She is the whisper that travels across eons. She is the ancient song of the deep, unbroken and eternal. Beneath the sunlight's reach, the ocean glows with life. Coral reefs shimmer, schools of fish scatter like living rainbows, and waves dance in light and shadow. But deeper still, where the sun can barely touch, there exists a realm both mysterious and eternal, the twilight zone. This is the world of the frilled shark, a shadowed corridor between light and abyss, stretching roughly 200 to 1,500 meters below the surface, a region known to scientists as the mesopelagic. Here, darkness softens the edges of reality, and the ordinary rules of life change. In this dim world, colors fade. Red and orange vanish first, leaving everything cloaked in blues and grays. Shapes become shadows. Movements are slow, deliberate, and deliberate. It is a place where patience is survival, and silence is sacred. The creatures here are unlike any you might imagine from the sunlit seas. Bioluminescence glows from the most unexpected corners. Tiny lights flashing from the eyes, tails, or undersides of creatures that drift through the gloom. Some creatures resemble the fantastical, with shapes that seem to belong more to dreams than reality. Among them, the frilled shark moves with a grace that is at once hypnotic and terrifying. Her long, serpentine body slips effortlessly through the dense water. Her frilled gills undulate gently, drawing oxygen from the cold, sparse currents. She is both predator and observer, moving silently through the shadows where prey is scarce but survival is possible. Life in the twilight zone is not frantic. Here, food is precious. Every movement is measured. Creatures conserve energy, waiting for the right moment. Squid drift lazily, small fish glide in scattered schools, and the occasional jellyfish pulses gently, illuminated like a lantern in the dark. The frilled shark's hunting strategy is perfectly suited to this quiet, shadowed world. Unlike sharks of the shallows, she does not chase her prey with speed. She waits, patiently, motionless, blending with the darkness, feeling every vibration, sensing the faintest electrical signals of life through her ampullae of Lorenzini. When the moment comes, she strikes, a sudden, fluid motion, her jaws opening with the elegance of a living trap. Her needle-like teeth ensure that escape is impossible. Then, once her meal is captured, she drifts back into silence, disappearing into the gloom as if she were never there. The twilight zone is a place of extremes. Pressure builds steadily with depth, temperatures drop, and light becomes a memory. Yet life thrives in this delicate balance. The frilled shark's body, refined over millions of years, allows her to navigate these extremes effortlessly. Her elongated, flexible body weaves through rocky crevices and uneven sea floors. Her large, oil-rich liver provides buoyancy in a world where every movement must be efficient. Here, creatures are also connected in ways that the surface world rarely witnesses. Predation is a silent ballet. Communication is often visual or chemical, expressed through the soft flashes of light or faint traces left in the water. Every interaction carries weight, and every choice can mean life or death. The frilled shark shares her world with extraordinary companions. Lanternfish, their bodies glowing like stars, drift in schools. Giant squid, rare and elusive, stretch through the darkness like ghostly ribbons. Hatchetfish reflect faint light off their metallic scales, and dragonfish flash venomous lures to tempt the curious. Yet among these strange and delicate lives, the frilled shark reigns, a quiet, patient predator, perfectly balanced with her environment. This is not a world of violence for its own sake. Life here moves according to rhythm and necessity. Energy is precious. Every meal is significant. Every movement conserves what the world demands. And in this rhythm, one begins to understand her longevity. The frilled shark has survived not because she is the fastest, strongest, or most aggressive. She survives because she understands her world, the slow currents, the scarcity of prey, the dance of light and shadow. She moves with patience, with care, with an intimacy born from millions of years of living in the same rhythm. Even her reproduction reflects this harmony. She gives birth to a small number of fully formed young after a gestation of up to 3.5 years. These offspring are immediately ready to navigate the twilight zone, prepared for the same patient life their mother has mastered. Survival here is slow, deliberate, and measured. Every generation is a continuation of that ancient knowledge. To us, the twilight zone may seem eerie or even alien, but to the frilled shark, it is home. Here, the pressures of the surface world fade away. Here, time slows. Here, life continues in its most essential form, quiet, patient, enduring. We can learn something from this rhythm. We move so quickly in our world, chasing distractions, racing against the clock. Yet in the twilight zone, life teaches us that patience is not weakness. It is survival. It is beauty. It is endurance. The frilled shark, gliding silently through shadowed currents, embodies this truth. She is a master of her environment, a guardian of the abyss, a creature unchanged by millennia because she moves with the water, not against it. And so, as we drift here with her, in the half-light of the twilight zone, we feel the quiet pulse of the ocean. We feel the weight of history, the slow passage of time, and the enduring grace of a creature older than our imagination. The frilled shark glides on, a silent witness to a world both ancient and eternal, teaching us, in the quiet of the deep, that life in its truest form is measured not by speed or spectacle, but by patience, by balance, and by enduring through the ages. The deep ocean is a realm of secrets. Sunlight cannot reach here, and silence reigns as both companion and witness. In this shadowed world, life has learned to move quietly, to observe, to wait. And among its most enigmatic inhabitants is the frilled shark, a creature whose every movement seems deliberate, a predator shaped by patience and millennia of unseen observation. To understand her behavior, we must forget the frenzied hunting of surface predators. Here, the hunt is not a chase. It is a patient dance, a conversation between predator and prey, a subtle exchange carried out in the language of water and motion. The frilled shark is nocturnal by nature. By day, she drifts in deeper waters, motionless or gliding gently, conserving energy. As night falls, she rises into the twilight zone, following the vertical migrations of her prey, squid, small fish, and other creatures that drift toward the surface under the veil of darkness. Her hunting strategy is slow, deliberate, and highly effective. She uses her serpentine body to weave through crevices and along the seafloor, her movements nearly imperceptible. Her frilled gills pulse gently, a rhythm that maintains her breath and buoyancy, allowing her to hover silently in place. Then, when a potential meal drifts too close, the strike is sudden, almost imperceptible, a fluid motion as her jaws unfold with their ancient hinge, capturing prey with 300 needle-like teeth. It is precise, efficient, perfect. In this, she is a master of her environment, a creature whose form has not needed change for millions of years because it works flawlessly. But hunting is not her only behavior. Observations suggest that the frilled shark is solitary, spending most of her life alone, drifting through the cold, dark waters. Social interaction is rare, limited to reproduction or perhaps chance encounters along migratory routes. Even her movement is measured. Unlike other sharks that cruise constantly to maintain buoyancy, she can hover with minimal effort, gliding slowly for hours or even days without noticeable exertion. This patience is not laziness, it is survival. Energy is precious in the deep, and every action must be deliberate. Her reproductive behavior is equally fascinating. The frilled shark is ovoviviparous, meaning her young develop inside eggs within the mother's body, emerging fully formed and capable of independent life. Gestation can last up to 3.5 years, one of the longest known among vertebrates. This extended development ensures that each offspring is fully prepared to navigate the pressures, cold, and scarce food of the deep-sea environment. Even in this slow, quiet life, there is drama. Encounters with larger predators or humans are rare but can be deadly. Some deep-sea fishing nets have brought up frilled sharks, often weakened or injured. Yet in the vast ocean, the species continues largely unbothered, a testament to its resilience and the sanctuary that the twilight and abyssal zones provide. Interestingly, the frilled shark exhibits behavior that suggests a degree of exploration. They do not remain confined to a single territory. They drift along continental shelves, into trenches, and sometimes follow the faint chemical trails of prey. Their sensory adaptations, particularly the ampullae of Lorenzini, allow them to detect electrical fields from other living beings, guiding them in a world where sight is limited. These adaptations reveal a subtle intelligence, a way of understanding and navigating the deep. Life here is not frantic or chaotic. It is deliberate, measured, and in harmony with the environment. Each choice, each movement, carries purpose. Her hunting and drifting also tell a story about the deep ocean itself. Unlike the shallow seas, where competition and predation are relentless, the twilight zone is vast and sparse. Resources are limited, and life has adapted accordingly. The frilled shark survives by being both patient and efficient, a predator perfectly attuned to the rhythm of scarcity. It is tempting to think of her as a monster of the deep, a relic or a ghost. But she is neither. She is a creature of balance, of harmony with the world she inhabits. Her behavior reflects the same patience that has preserved her species across 80 million years. In her silent hunting, we see the poetry of evolution. There is no haste, no spectacle, just the quiet, unbroken rhythm of life, waiting, sensing, striking, and returning to stillness. This rhythm is the heartbeat of the abyss, a pulse that has continued since the days when her ancestors glided past ammonites and primitive squid, long before humans set sail on the oceans above. To witness her behavior, even through the lens of a submersible camera, is to glimpse a world that exists beyond our normal understanding. A world governed not by fear or urgency, but by timing, patience, and the unspoken laws of the deep. And so, the frilled shark moves through the twilight zone, carrying with her the secrets of the deep. Every glide, every gentle flick of her tail, every pulse of her gills speaks of millions of years of survival. She is not just a predator. She is a storyteller, a keeper of time, a living bridge between the oceans of the past and the present. Her hunting is quiet. Her life is deliberate. Her existence is a testament to endurance. And as we drift alongside her, imagining the currents and shadows, we come to understand that the greatest secrets of the deep are not found in frenzy or spectacle, but in patience, in silence, in the slow, deliberate movements of a creature perfectly at home in her world. The ocean is vast, but humanity's curiosity stretches even farther. For centuries, people have wondered what lurks beneath the surface, what shadows move in the unseen depths. And sometimes, they find creatures that feel almost unreal. Beings like the frilled shark, ancient and silent, carrying the weight of 80 million years in their bodies. Human encounters with the frilled shark are rare, yet each one tells a story of wonder, fear, and awe. The earliest known interactions were with fishermen along the coasts of Japan. Nets hauled in strange, elongated forms, creatures unlike any known fish. Their frilled gills and needle-like teeth gave rise to tales of sea serpents and messengers from the dragon's palace. These were creatures of myth, whispered about in coastal villages, where the line between legend and reality was fluid, like the tides. Fishermen sometimes regarded them with reverence, sometimes with superstition. To see a frilled shark was considered an omen, not necessarily of danger, but of the ocean's mysteries stirring closer to the human world. And yet, many of these encounters went unrecorded by science, existing only in oral tradition, in stories passed down through generations. It was not until the 19th century that the frilled shark formally entered scientific knowledge. Specimens brought to naturalists like Ludwig Doderlein and Samuel Garman revealed the truth. This was no myth. It was a living fossil, a relic of the deep, preserved across eons. Even then, human contact was fleeting. The frilled shark remained largely out of reach, dwelling in the twilight and abyssal zones, where nets rarely touched and submersibles rarely ventured. Most knowledge came from the rare, unfortunate individuals who were pulled to the surface, dead or dying, from fishing lines and deep-sea trawls. In more recent decades, technology has allowed us glimpses into her world. Submersibles and remote-operated vehicles have captured rare footage of living frilled sharks gliding through the deep. Each sighting is a reminder of how little we truly understand the oceans, and how much of life on Earth persists unseen. One notable encounter occurred off the coast of Japan in 2007, when a fisherman pulled a living frilled shark close to the surface. Its pale, serpentine body curled weakly in the nets. Its gills fluttered, its jaws opened and closed, a ghostly reminder of the deep's eternal patience. Cameras recorded the moment, and the world marveled. Here was a creature that had survived the extinction of the dinosaurs, that had witnessed the rise of mammals, that had drifted through oceans unchanged while human civilizations rose and fell. Scientists and enthusiasts alike began to study her more intently. Advances in deep-sea exploration allowed biologists to capture images and sometimes even live specimens. Yet even with these tools, much of her life remains a mystery. Her behavior, reproduction, and migration are still not fully understood. Every encounter teaches us a little more, but the frilled shark guards her secrets carefully, revealing only what she chooses in the dim glow of the deep. Beyond science, the frilled shark has inspired imagination. Writers and artists depict her as a living fossil, a creature bridging prehistory and the present. She is called a sea serpent and a real-life dragon, a reminder that even in the modern world, the ocean holds secrets that outlast human memory. But these encounters also highlight our fragility. For every glimpse, for every photograph, there are dangers. Deep-sea trawling, climate change, and human intrusion threaten the delicate balance of her habitat. Yet she endures, a silent testament to resilience and the careful patience that has kept her lineage alive for millions of years. Perhaps the most profound lesson of these human encounters is humility. We are vast in our technology, in our cities, in our knowledge of the land. Yet beneath the waves, a creature older than our civilizations continues her quiet existence, largely untouched, largely unseen. She reminds us that discovery is not mastery, that curiosity does not equal dominion, and that some worlds exist beyond our reach. Every encounter is fleeting, yet transformative. For a moment, we glimpse the past, the continuity of life, the patient persistence that defies human reckoning. The frilled shark glides silently through her world, unbothered by cameras, nets, or human wonder. And yet, in our eyes, she inspires awe. She is a mirror, reflecting not only the ancient seas but also our place in the vastness of time. She shows us that the oceans are alive, that evolution is patient, and that life can endure in forms we cannot imagine. Every encounter with humanity is a reminder that we are visitors in her realm, temporary, fleeting, and ever curious. And so, the frilled shark continues, silent and graceful, a living testament to the endurance of life, a keeper of the deep secrets, and a reminder that some of the most extraordinary creatures on our planet remain largely unseen, patiently gliding through the twilight of the oceans. The ocean is a vast, interconnected web, where every creature plays a part, no matter how hidden or elusive. The frilled shark, moving quietly in the twilight and abyssal zones, is no exception. Though rarely seen, she occupies a niche that speaks to patience, balance, and the subtle rhythms of deep-sea life. To understand her role, we must first consider the twilight zone itself, that dim corridor between light and darkness, where sunlight dwindles and the pressures of the deep begin to dominate. Life here is sparse and highly specialized. Energy is precious. Survival is delicate. The frilled shark is an ambush predator, feeding primarily on small fish and squid that migrate through this region. Unlike surface predators that chase, She relies on stealth and patience. By waiting and striking with precision, she controls the flow of prey populations, maintaining balance in a world where resources are scarce. Her hunting also impacts the vertical migration of her prey. Squid, lanternfish, and other mid-water species move cautiously, aware of the silent hunter lurking below. This subtle tension keeps the ecosystem in equilibrium, a reminder that even a single predator can influence the broader web of life. Beyond predation, the frilled shark contributes to nutrient cycling in the deep. When she eats, she converts her prey into energy, which eventually re-enters the food web through waste or the decomposition of uneaten matter. This slow, quiet process nourishes organisms at lower trophic levels. Microorganisms, plankton, and scavengers that thrive in the shadows. In this way, she is both predator and caretaker, her presence shaping the subtle currents of energy that flow through the twilight zone. Even unseen, her impact is profound. Her interactions with other species are largely indirect, yet crucial. Giant squid, deep-sea fish, and other predators compete for the same prey. By hunting efficiently and maintaining her energy, the frilled shark reduces pressure on smaller organisms, allowing life to persist in fragile equilibrium. In this ecosystem, patience is power, and balance is survival. The frilled shark also plays a role in maintaining the genetic health of her prey populations. By preying on slower or weaker individuals, she ensures that only the fittest survive and reproduce, a natural culling that strengthens species over generations. In this way, she is a silent guardian of evolutionary fitness, an unseen force shaping life in the abyss. Despite her apparent solitude, the frilled shark is connected to countless lives through the intricate web of the deep. Every meal she takes, every movement she makes, influences the patterns of life around her. She reminds us that even the quietest creatures are integral to the health of their world, that survival is not only personal but communal, woven through the actions of many. She is also an indicator species, a sign of the health of the deep ocean. Because she requires cold, oxygen-rich water and relies on the delicate balance of the mesopelagic and upper bathypelagic zones, changes in her presence can signal shifts in the ecosystem. Warming waters, declining prey, or human impacts creeping ever deeper into the ocean. Observing her, we observe the pulse of the ocean itself. It is easy to overlook the importance of a creature so elusive, so rarely seen. Yet the frilled shark's very existence testifies to the resilience of deep-sea ecosystems. She demonstrates how life can persist, adapt, and influence its environment quietly, without spectacle or noise. Even in her patience and solitude, she embodies the delicate balance that allows entire ecosystems to function. She is predator, participant, and guardian all at once. Her role reminds us that the ocean is more than a collection of creatures. It is a network of relationships, each connection vital, each action meaningful. The frilled shark is not a dominant force in the way a great white or an orca might be in shallower waters. Instead, her power lies in subtlety, in endurance, in the quiet shaping of life in her shadowed world. By surviving for millions of years, she has maintained her role across epochs, guiding the delicate balance of the deep through extinction events, climate shifts, and the rise of humanity. She is a living thread connecting past, present, and future, her influence both invisible and essential. And so, as we imagine her gliding silently through the twilight zone, we see not only an ancient predator, but a caretaker of the deep. Her movements, her hunts, her quiet presence all ripple through the ecosystem, shaping life in ways we can barely perceive. In the frilled shark, we witness the ocean's patience. We witness the quiet artistry of balance. We witness a creature that, though largely unseen, holds a profound influence over the fragile web of life in her shadowed world. She is ancient. She is patient. She is essential. And in her silent passage through the deep, we are reminded that the greatest powers often move unseen, that survival is measured not in force, but in endurance, and that even the most hidden lives are woven into the story of the ocean itself. Humans have always been drawn to the unknown, to the mysteries that lie just beyond reach. From the first sailors navigating uncharted seas to modern explorers descending in submarines, our curiosity stretches into realms few have ever seen. And among the deep's most captivating enigmas is the frilled shark, a creature that embodies both the ancient past and the enduring mysteries of the ocean. To encounter a frilled shark, even in a fleeting glimpse, is to brush against the limits of human understanding. Her serpentine body, frilled gills, and needle-like teeth evoke legends of sea serpents, dragons, and creatures long whispered about in coastal folklore. For centuries, stories of living monsters persisted alongside sightings, myths that blurred the line between imagination and reality. Scientific curiosity transformed these myths into questions, and questions into discovery. When specimens were first studied by naturalists in the 19th and early 20th centuries, researchers marveled at her unique features. Her anatomy, so different from modern sharks, revealed a lineage untouched by time. She became a living fossil, a bridge to the oceans of the late Cretaceous, and a subject of fascination for biologists, paleontologists, and marine enthusiasts alike. Modern technology has expanded our view of this elusive creature. Remote-operated vehicles and submersibles now allow scientists to observe her in her natural habitat, drifting through twilight and abyssal zones. Each sighting deepens our understanding, yet also underscores how much remains unknown. How does she interact with her environment on a daily basis? How does she navigate the immense pressures of the deep? How has her lineage survived when countless other species vanished? Even with our tools, the frilled shark retains her secrets. She moves silently, avoiding detection, perfectly adapted to a world humans can barely explore. Every movement is deliberate, measured, and efficient, a living testament to the patience that has preserved her species across millions of years. Human fascination with the frilled shark is not limited to science. Artists, writers, and storytellers are drawn to her otherworldly form, her uncanny presence, and the idea that a creature unchanged for 80 million years still glides through our oceans. She has inspired illustrations, documentaries, and countless articles exploring the intersection of myth, evolution, and the unknown. Yet curiosity is a double-edged sword. While we learn and marvel, human activity also threatens her habitat. Deep-sea trawling, ocean warming, and chemical pollution encroach on the delicate balance of the mesopelagic and bathypelagic zones. Each human encounter is a reminder that our fascination carries responsibility. Despite these challenges, encounters between humans and the frilled shark are profoundly humbling. They remind us of the vastness of the ocean, the persistence of life, and the limits of our knowledge. To witness a creature that predates the rise of mammals, that has survived mass extinctions, is to confront the deep currents of time itself. Some researchers describe an almost spiritual reaction when observing a living frilled shark. There is awe in seeing a creature so perfectly adapted, so ancient, and yet still alive. In her silent movements, in the gentle pulse of her frilled gills, in the unhurried rhythm of her glide, we feel the continuity of life across eons. Human curiosity has also led to efforts to understand her role in the ocean ecosystem, her hunting strategies, and her reproductive habits. Each discovery is precious, revealing the elegance of her adaptations and the intricacy of the deep-sea world. Scientists study her long gestation period, her ovoviviparous reproduction, and her slow metabolism, all traits that reflect a life measured by patience and endurance rather than haste. Through these studies, we learn more than biology. We learn humility. We learn that the oceans, vast and shadowed, contain stories older than human history. The frilled shark is a storyteller in her own right, offering lessons on survival, balance, and the quiet persistence of life in the deep. Perhaps the most profound impact of human curiosity is inspiration. The frilled shark encourages us to explore responsibly, to wonder without destruction, and to value the mysteries that remain unseen. She is a reminder that even in our age of knowledge and technology, the oceans hold secrets beyond imagination. And as we watch her glide silently through twilight waters, we recognize a truth that resonates beyond the deep. Curiosity is the gateway to understanding, but reverence and patience are the keys to coexistence. The frilled shark has endured for tens of millions of years because she moves in harmony with her world. Humans, too, can learn to move with care, respecting the ancient rhythms of the planet that sustains us. The frilled shark remains a symbol of the unknown, a bridge between myth and reality, past and present, mystery and discovery. Every human encounter is a moment to pause, to marvel, and to remember that life's endurance is not measured in speed or conquest, but in patience, balance, and quiet grace. The ocean has always been a source of wonder and fear. For millennia, humans have listened to its whispers, watching the surface and imagining what lies beneath. In these tales, creatures of the deep became symbols of mystery, power, and sometimes danger. Among these stories, the frilled shark has carved a subtle, enduring place, a living legend, bridging the realms of myth and reality. Long before scientists studied her, coastal communities spoke of serpentine creatures gliding silently through the waters. Fishermen in Japan, encountering strange, elongated fish in their nets, told stories of sea dragons or deep water serpents, pale and ghostly in the moonlight. The frilled shark's unusual body, with its frilled gills and needle-like teeth, inspired awe and respect, and even fear. These tales were not merely fanciful. They reflected an intimate knowledge of the ocean, an understanding that some creatures move in silence, unseen, and yet wield influence over the world around them. The frilled shark, rarely caught, became a symbol of the hidden forces beneath the waves. Legends described her as a guardian of the deep, a sentinel of ancient waters, and a messenger of forgotten time. In other cultures, stories of serpentine sea creatures carried moral and spiritual weight. Some interpreted sightings as omens, signs of change, warnings, or guidance. Though the frilled shark herself was seldom recognized scientifically, she inspired these narratives, embodying the deep ocean's power and mystery. With the rise of modern science, myths evolved. The frilled shark became the living fossil, a creature bridging ancient oceans and the present. Scientists' fascination only added to her legend. Photographs, footage from submersibles, and rare captures fueled imagination worldwide. Writers, filmmakers, and artists began to depict her as a dragon of the deep, a relic that defied extinction, a silent witness to Earth's long history. Even today, she continues to inspire. Documentaries portray her as a ghostly serpent, her frilled gills and elongated form evoking awe and curiosity. Online forums and social media share images and stories, blending science and legend, myth and reality. In each account, she reminds us that the ocean holds secrets beyond human comprehension. Yet beneath the myth lies truth. The frilled shark is not a monster. She is a creature of patience and balance, perfectly adapted to the deep ocean. Her legendary appearance is a reflection of evolutionary success, a body honed over millions of years, capable of surviving mass extinctions and the ever-changing seas. The myths are, in a sense, an homage to her resilience and uniqueness. These stories also serve as a bridge between generations. For centuries, tales of serpentine sea creatures passed from one generation to the next, teaching respect for the ocean and its unseen inhabitants. Even as science reveals more about her biology and behavior, the cultural narratives persist, blending human imagination with the enduring reality of her existence. In this way, the frilled shark embodies more than biology. She embodies storytelling. She connects us to the past, to the way humans have always tried to understand the unknown. She reminds us that myths often contain kernels of truth, that the boundaries between legend and reality are porous, and that the ocean is a source of endless wonder. Her place in culture is subtle yet profound. Unlike the great white shark, famous for its fearsome reputation, or dolphins, celebrated for their playfulness, the frilled shark inspires quiet reverence. She is mysterious, almost ethereal, a creature whose very existence evokes humility and wonder. The frilled shark also reminds us of the continuity of life. Legends span generations, and so does she. Her ancestors swam in the seas of the dinosaurs, and she glides through the oceans of today. In both myth and reality, she links past and present, imagination and science, humans and the deep. In coastal villages, in scientific journals, and in modern media, she persists as a symbol of the deep's mysteries. Each story told about her carries echoes of awe, respect, and curiosity. She is not merely a creature of biology. She is a creature of the human imagination, a living legend that continues to inspire wonder across the world. And so, the frilled shark swims on, a myth, a legend, a real creature, and a bridge across time. She reminds us that some wonders are beyond explanation, that the ocean is a realm of eternal mystery, and that even in the modern world, there are stories older than history itself, whispered in the silent, shadowed currents of the deep. The ocean is a realm of extremes, a place where pressure crushes, light fades, and food is scarce. In such a world, survival demands extraordinary adaptations. And the frilled shark, drifting through twilight and abyssal zones, embodies nature's quiet ingenuity, a living testament to evolution's patience and precision. Every aspect of her body is a product of millions of years of fine-tuning. Her long, serpentine form allows her to navigate the deep's narrow crevices and rocky outcrops with ease. Unlike more muscular high-speed sharks of the surface, she moves with slow, deliberate undulations, conserving energy while maintaining a graceful efficiency that suits the sparse resources of the deep. Her frilled gills are perhaps her most striking feature. Unlike the simple gills of most sharks, hers are extended and delicate, arranged like tiny curtains along her throat. These frills increase surface area, allowing her to extract oxygen efficiently from cold, oxygen-poor waters. Every breath is optimized for the dim and pressurized world she inhabits. Her jaws, filled with rows of needle-like teeth, are another marvel. Unlike the massive bite of a great white, her teeth are perfectly suited for snagging squid and small fish. When she strikes, it is not with brute force, but with precision and speed that is nearly invisible to the eye. This ambush-style hunting allows her to conserve energy, a critical advantage in a world where meals are few and far between. The frilled shark's internal adaptations are equally remarkable. Her liver, large and oil-rich, provides buoyancy in the deep waters where gas-filled swim bladders are less effective. Her metabolism is slow, allowing her to survive long periods without food, a necessity in the twilight zone, where prey migrations are seasonal and sparse. Even her reproductive strategy is an adaptation to the deep. Ovoviviparous, she nurtures her young inside her body for up to 3.5 years, giving birth to fully formed, independent offspring. This long gestation ensures that each generation is well equipped to survive the pressures, darkness, and scarcity of her world. In a place where life is slow and deliberate, this strategy is perfect. Her senses are finely attuned to the deep. In a world with little light, vision alone is insufficient. She relies on the ampullae of Lorenzini, specialized electroreceptors that detect the faintest electrical signals from other animals. These allow her to locate prey hidden in shadows or crevices, guiding her strikes with uncanny accuracy. She also senses vibrations and subtle movements in the water, giving her awareness of both predators and prey in the dimness. Her skin, smooth and flexible, reduces drag as she moves through the water, allowing silent glides that make her nearly invisible to both prey and predators. Her coloration, muted, shadowy hues, provides natural camouflage, blending seamlessly into the twilight waters. These adaptations are not isolated. They are integrated, each feature supporting another, creating a creature perfectly suited to the pressures of the deep. In her, every structure, every movement, every behavior is a strategy honed across millions of years, a living blueprint of survival in extreme conditions. Yet perhaps the most extraordinary adaptation is her patience. In a world defined by scarcity and darkness, endurance is more powerful than strength, persistence more crucial than speed. She has evolved to thrive where others could not, to wait where others chase, and to endure where others perish. Her very existence is a lesson in resilience. While surface sharks hunt with energy and aggression, the frilled shark thrives on stillness and subtlety. Her body, her senses, her metabolism, and her reproductive strategies are all aligned to a life measured not in hours, but in centuries and millennia. Through these adaptations, the frilled shark has survived mass extinctions, shifting oceans, and the rise of humans. She is not a relic of the past, but a living survivor, a creature whose form continues to meet the demands of her environment with perfection. Each adaptation tells a story of pressure and darkness, scarcity and patience, evolution's quiet artistry. And as we imagine her gliding through the shadowed waters, we recognize a profound truth. Survival is not always about strength or speed. It is about harmony with one's world, about adaptation, patience, and the seamless integration of body, mind, and environment. The frilled shark moves on, a master of her shadowed realm, a creature whose every feature whispers the story of survival. She reminds us that life can endure in forms unseen, that the deep ocean holds endless lessons, and that evolution's true brilliance is often quiet, subtle, and timeless. Long before humans walked the earth, long before mountains rose or rivers carved valleys, the oceans already held their mysteries. Among the earliest guardians of those waters were the ancestors of the frilled shark, creatures of ancient seas, moving silently through worlds now lost to time. The story of the frilled shark is written not in stone, but in silence, in the continuity of her form, in the unbroken thread that stretches back more than 80 million years. She is a living page from the fossil record, a survivor of epochs, an unaltered witness to the changing face of the planet. The earliest traces of her lineage appear in the late Cretaceous, when the world was ruled by dinosaurs and the oceans teemed with ammonites, mosasaurs, and marine reptiles of staggering size. Deep below these dramatic surface battles, in shadowed waters, her ancestors swam, smaller, quieter, and far older in design. Fossil evidence from related species reveals a family tree that once stretched across oceans. The Chlamydosalactidae, the family to which the frilled shark belongs, is ancient, one of the most primitive lineages of modern sharks. Their fossils have been found in layers of rock dating back tens of millions of years, their forms nearly identical to those seen today. It is as if time itself forgot to change them. Unlike many shark families that evolved into sleeker, faster predators, the Chlamydosalactidae remained loyal to their deep-sea world. Their slow metabolism, long bodies, and unique gills were perfect for the cold, pressurized depths, where little light and little competition meant stability, an evolutionary sanctuary. Through the ages, oceans rose and fell. Continents shifted. Ice ages came and went. Entire marine empires vanished. Ammonites, ichthyosaurs, and megalodons, all swept away by time's tide. Yet the frilled shark's lineage endured, unchanged, unhurried, patient. Her survival is written in contrast. Where others adapted rapidly to shifting environments, her kind remained steady, her ancient design continuing to meet the quiet demands of the deep. She became not a relic, but a survivor, proof that some of evolution's earliest experiments were perfect from the beginning. Fossils of her relatives reveal fascinating variations. Some species were larger, some smaller. Some possessed slightly different jaw structures or fin shapes, but the essence remained: elongated bodies, frilled gills, and needle-like teeth, the signature of an ancient lineage. Even today, scientists studying these fossils are struck by how little has changed. The frilled shark is a living fossil in the truest sense, not frozen in time, but living comfortably within it, adapting subtly, quietly, beneath notice. Her survival across multiple mass extinctions is a mystery and a marvel. When the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction wiped out the dinosaurs and 75% of life on Earth vanished, she endured. When ocean temperatures shifted and new predators evolved, she persisted. Her deep-sea refuge shielded her from surface chaos, her slow metabolism and flexible diet ensuring she could survive in lean times. Over the eons, her world remained remarkably consistent: cold, dark, and still. In that stability, she found her advantage. While surface life adapted, competed, and perished, the frilled shark simply continued, her existence flowing like an unbroken current through time. Fossilized teeth, delicate and needle-thin, are often the only remains of her ancient relatives. These teeth, preserved in rock, speak of quiet hunters gliding through prehistoric seas, taking small fish and squid much like their descendants do today. Each tooth, each fossilized remnant, is a whisper from deep time, a message from the ancient oceans, telling of a life form too perfect to change. And when we hold these fossils in our hands, we hold time itself, not in abstract years, but in the living continuity between past and present. The same design that hunted beneath the waves 80 million years ago still glides there now, alive, breathing, enduring. In the great narrative of life, the frilled shark and her kin are reminders that evolution is not always about change. Sometimes it is about constancy. Sometimes the best design is one that simply endures. She is not a relic of failure or stagnation, but of balance, a testament to the quiet success of adaptation perfectly matched to its environment. Her survival is a story of harmony, patience, and the steady rhythm of deep time. The fossil record, in all its silence, tells us that she is not merely ancient, she is enduring. A being that has witnessed the birth of continents, the death of oceans, and the endless reshaping of the Earth's surface. And yet, in all this, she has remained herself. Each fossil tooth, each fragment of bone buried in rock, connects us to her story, to the persistence of life even when the world above changes beyond recognition. She is not only a survivor of the past but a living link to it, carrying within her every breath the memory of ancient seas. The frilled shark swims through the deep today as her ancestors did in the Cretaceous seas, unchanged and unbothered by the passage of time. She is evolution's whisper, the living memory of Earth's ancient oceans, proof that in the grand story of life, some forms need not evolve further, because they have already found perfection in their stillness. The deep ocean is vast, silent, and enduring, a world seemingly untouched by time. Yet even here, the relentless touch of humanity reaches its shadowed corners. For a creature like the frilled shark, whose life is measured in patience and centuries, these disturbances can be profound. Despite her resilience, the frilled shark exists in a delicate balance. The twilight and abyssal zones, where she glides through dim waters, are fragile ecosystems. They are not barren, but intricate webs of life, each organism connected to another through invisible currents of energy and survival. A change in one element can ripple outward, unseen yet significant. Human activity has begun to intrude upon these ancient realms. Deep-sea trawling is perhaps the most direct threat. Nets dragged along the ocean floor sometimes capture not only frilled sharks, but also squid, lanternfish, and other species upon which they depend. Such incidental captures, often called bycatch, can harm populations slowly but surely. For a species that grows slowly, reproduces infrequently, and carries young for up to 3.5 years, even small losses can have long-term impacts. Pollution, too, creeps into the deep. Microplastics, chemical residues, and rising levels of carbon dioxide alter the chemistry of the water. The frilled shark's habitat, once stable for millions of years, now faces subtle changes in oxygen levels and temperature, factors that could affect her hunting, reproduction, and long-term survival. Climate change adds another layer of fragility. Oceans are warming, and currents are shifting. Prey species may migrate differently, food availability may become unpredictable, and the deep-sea zones that have been refuges for millennia could be altered in ways we cannot yet fully predict. For a creature adapted to stability, change is a slow but formidable threat. The frilled shark, however, continues her quiet existence. She glides through the dark waters, patient and undisturbed, as if oblivious to the surface world's chaos. Yet each human incursion, fishing lines, exploration, pollution, is a reminder that even the most ancient and seemingly invulnerable creatures are part of our shared responsibility. Conservationists remind us that understanding is key to protection. Because the frilled shark is so rarely encountered, much of her life remains a mystery. Studying her requires patience, subtlety, and respect, qualities she embodies herself. Each observation, each piece of data, contributes to a broader understanding of the deep, helping us learn how to preserve the delicate balance that sustains her. Even the human fascination with her carries a lesson. Admiration must be paired with responsibility. witnessing her, recording her movements, studying her life. All of these must be done with care, ensuring that our curiosity does not become harm. The fragility of the deep is not always visible. We do not see the long gestation disrupted, the small number of offspring lost, or the subtle changes in prey distribution. Yet these factors shape life in ways profound and unseen. The frilled shark has endured for millions of years because her world remained mostly untouched. The moment human activity penetrates that quiet sanctuary, she is vulnerable. Yet hope exists. Increasing awareness of deep-sea ecosystems, regulations on trawling, and advancements in technology allow us to study these realms with minimal disruption. By respecting the deep's rhythms, by observing rather than exploiting, we can ensure that the frilled shark continues her patient, silent journey. Her endurance is a testament not only to her adaptations but also to the resilience of the deep itself. She reminds us that the ocean, though vast, is not invincible. It is a living system, fragile in its complexity, deserving of reverence and care. As we reflect on the threats she faces, we see more clearly the responsibility that comes with knowledge. Human curiosity, when tempered with respect, can preserve wonders like the frilled shark. Ignorance, or exploitation, can tip delicate balances irreversibly. And so, the frilled shark glides on, patient and undisturbed, even as the surface world encroaches. Her story is a reminder that survival requires not only adaptation, but also stewardship from those who share her planet. She is ancient, enduring, and fragile, a living bridge between past and present, mystery and reality, life itself and the unseen currents that sustain it. In her silent passage through the twilight and abyss, we glimpse the ocean's quiet vulnerability, and with that, the profound importance of respect, patience, and conservation. The ocean is a library written in silence, a chronicle of time unfolding across millions of years. Each wave, each current, each shadow beneath the surface carries memory. And among its most eloquent storytellers is the frilled shark, an ancient sentinel, a living relic of oceans long vanished from the Earth's surface. To reflect on her life is to reflect on time itself. She glides through waters largely unchanged since the age of dinosaurs, embodying continuity in a world defined by change. Where continents rise and fall, where species appear and vanish, she persists, a patient witness to epochs that surpass human imagination. Her very existence challenges our perception of time. While human lives are brief, measured in decades, hers is measured in the rhythm of centuries. Her gestation lasts years, her metabolism slow, her hunting deliberate. In every movement, she reminds us that life is not always urgent. Sometimes, survival is found in stillness, in patience, in enduring rather than rushing. The frilled shark is a bridge between worlds. She connects the prehistoric past with the present, allowing us to glimpse the ocean as it once was, a silent, dark expanse filled with creatures adapted for survival, not spectacle. She carries in her form the memory of seas teeming with ammonites, giant squids, and marine reptiles, all long gone. And yet, in her, that history continues quietly, a thread unbroken across time. Her passage through the deep teaches humility. In the face of her slow, deliberate life, human ambition seems fleeting. We may map the seas, explore their depths, and study their creatures, but the frilled shark has already endured what we can scarcely imagine. Mass extinctions, tectonic upheavals, climate shifts. She is a reminder that the world operates on a scale far greater than our own, that endurance and harmony often outweigh speed and force. She is also a teacher of patience and adaptation. Her body, senses, and behaviors are perfectly tuned to her environment. She moves through the ocean with care and efficiency, relying not on brute strength but on understanding and timing. In this, she mirrors the ocean itself, vast, measured, and enduring. The frilled shark's existence invites reflection on humanity's place in the world. We are young in comparison, fleeting in time, yet capable of remarkable curiosity and influence. Our encounters with her, whether through submersibles, fishing nets, or documentaries, remind us that the ocean is both a realm of wonder and a delicate system deserving of respect. Her survival is intertwined with ours. By preserving the oceans, by studying them with reverence, we ensure that the story of the frilled shark continues, along with countless other hidden lives. In protecting her, we protect the silent, patient heartbeat of the deep, a rhythm that has sustained life for eons and may continue long after we are gone. In the twilight and abyssal zones, she moves with grace, a solitary figure in an endless, shadowed world. Every glide, every flick of her tail, every pulse of her gills is a testament to the perfection of evolution's patient hand. She is neither myth nor legend alone, nor merely a subject of scientific study. She is a living reminder of time's vastness, of the quiet persistence of life, and of the ocean's enduring mystery. Reflecting on her life, we find more than biology. We find philosophy, a meditation on endurance, on patience, and on the imperceptible rhythms that sustain the natural world. She teaches us that life is not always about speed, aggression, or conquest, but about harmony, balance, and persistence across the vast sweep of time. And as the frilled shark glides silently through her shadowed realm, we are left with a sense of awe and reverence. She is ancient, mysterious, and enduring, a living link between the oceans of the past and those of the present, between myth and reality, between life and time itself. Her story is not only hers, but a reflection of the deep's patience and resilience. In the quiet of the oceans, in the dark corridors of the abyss, she continues her endless journey, a silent witness to the unfolding of life on Earth. The frilled shark reminds us, the deepest wonders are often unseen, the greatest endurance is quiet, and the most profound stories are written not in words, but in time itself.